We're moving on to new tweets, at least from the UK Fintech Week, or IFGS. I still don't know what it stands for. I didn't know a year ago, and I still don't know
Innovate
today.
Finance Global Fintech
Summit.
Service. Put it up here. UK Fintech Week. Innovate Finance.
So that's
the UK continues to be a leader in financial innovation. It's placed at the center of global financial services. With supportive regulation, access to world-class talent, and a rich investment landscape has made it a hotbed of startups and established fintechs. These new and exciting businesses are working to change and evolve the sector for the benefit of consumers and businesses alike. And Quant is there, and I will briefly show this. This is the introduction, the people getting on stage.
Lunch entertainment for you today, because the topic is none but CBDCs, which of course is something we've been discussing for many years by now.
Yeah, Gilbert came on stage first, which is interesting. On the panel with our CEO Gilbert Verdian are John Lipsky of the Atlantic Council, and what is the Atlantic Council? Shaping the Global Future Together. Subscribe to our newsletters. Okay. That's a news thing. And Marion Labour of the Deutsche Bank. Yeah, they've been speaking, and Gilbert has been there. Doing his thing. Yeah, let's.
Moved on from the theory and the policy side into live implementations. And what they're really considering is, what does this mean for my domestic system? A lot of central banks have migrated to real-time payments, and that has usually taken a 15-year journey to get there. And they're looking at what's next, and what does this mean for commercial banks, what does this mean for consumers, what does it mean for businesses? And what they're finding is, through the technology of smart contracts and DLTs, they're able to create a new form of money that has logic built in. And the central bank is not really interested in imposing things within the industry, but they want to facilitate things. And I guess the approach they're taking is, we'll provide the infrastructure and we'll provide the construct to create CBDCs, and we'll let banks innovate and create a new ecosystem around that technology and the platform. So we're seeing really interesting use case around programmable logic, allowing multi-party escrows, allowing conditional payments, allowing rapid dispersion of funds, where the private sector takes that responsibility and creates the innovation. And on the capital market side, it's linking tokenized money with tokenized assets, and having a rapid settlement, moving from T+2 down to T+0 is the utopia. And we're seeing that innovation come from the payments world into the capital markets world.
Excellent.
Yeah, so this is what it is all about, and it's kind of like an interview. The entire thread can be found in Quant Library. There you can find it on the Reader app. Link is in the description, as well as the link to this thread directly is also in our description.
Yeah. What I found interesting before we move on to the specific tweets here is that he says that the innovations from the payments world will be all taken over in the world of capital markets. So it's basically just him saying, well, that world is pretty slow and lackish, and that we will see those implementations where it will really have impact. Like, we have been doing some pretty cool stuff with payments, but the backbone of the system is still rather slow. I think that is very interesting to me, because it means that those CBDCs will play an important role in the background, and that is where the real money is.
Yeah,
and that's good for open ledger.
That's the thing, right? Because for us consumers, we can already pay instantly. If I now send money to Tim with my phone, which I can, and I'm not using PayPal, I'm just using our Dutch bank.
You can
I
show
can
it on the
send-
spot.
Yeah, I could just send Tim like 100K right now. No, not 100K. There's a limit of up to five to 7,000 euros, depending.
I will act like be true. I will freeze your assets for.
No, but truly, I can just use an app, and this, especially in the United States, this is not common at all. I can just send money to Tim instantly. If I send him €1 now, he will receive €1. As soon as I hit send, like 1 second later, he has it.
And for your own safety, you cannot withdraw it anymore from me. So I will keep the 100K from you. That's for your own safety.
Yeah. But jokes aside, but that is what consumers have, right? But that is not what RTGS looks like. That's not what happens between countries, etc. That just takes a lot more time, because those numbers are so much higher, makes it all so much more difficult and much more complicated, needs more signatures, different systems. I mean, these are just numbers exchanging hands, and eventually the balance needs to get settled. And that is, I think, what you just meant, Tim. And that system needs to get upgraded, and that's what CBDCs can help to do. That's for the interbank things. And eventually, a retail CBDC might also come. But in the background, things are changing already, because that's not consumer facing, so it is not as difficult, I suppose. But yeah, this is all about the CBDCs, and good old Gilbert is invited, even though he got fired from the Digital Pound Foundation. Nobody wanted him anymore. There was a vote, and he got fired. Obviously, that's bullshit. Let me stop sharing my screen, and I'll bring it up. So what happened was Gilbert is no longer the director of the Digital Pound Foundation. And somebody brought that up in Counchill. And obviously he came in, why did Gilbert get fired? And he took a lot of flack for that. But, let me see. Here, view message. Let me share this. Yeah. So someone on Reddit posted a termination for Gilbert from the Digital Pound Foundation. Thoughts on realism and meaning. Lol, don't bring that crap in here. Fundamentals channel, negative or positive. Reddit is not source material. And then Boss Quantiscan replied, looked legit to me, honestly. Things change, and so do board positions. Sometimes it's just some administrative changes to open the door for another appointment. Sometimes for the same person, but slightly different title. We don't know, and there's a plethora of different options that could explain this in a non-negative way. So that discussion went on and on. The link to the beginning of the discussion is in the description. What is interesting is this. So what we see here is a form signed by Mr. Gilbert Verdian. With an address. He doesn't live here. Somebody already did the research. Role director resigned, and the position got terminated or whatever. Does not mean somebody got fired. That's just a legal term for if somebody ends a position. Well, and this is Gilbert's thing. Gilbert and I are only 6 years age difference. It's amazing. I am obviously 6 years older. Appointed on 22nd of June and resigned on the 22nd of March. He is British. And this is termination of a director appointment. So this is what happened, and you can find this wherever you want to find it. Well, what does this mean, right? What does this mean? Why? A terrible itch in my ear, guys. I'm sorry. Why is he fired? Why is he away? Why did he quit? We do not know. We do not know. And the question is, does it matter? And why does it matter, right?
I didn't know until that this happened, until you just brought it up. I think I've seen it on Telegram, but I was like, okay.
Yeah. So Gilbert got fired.
Yeah, well, it feels like one of those many instances with Quant, and this might be our bias, and that's not a good thing. Where we see these kind of things, we're like, oh, this is negative, and we can just not place it. Like, we cannot really say whether it's negative or positive, because we simply don't know. It could mean everything, right? It could mean anything, right? We know, the thing we know is that we have someone here whose entire career has been focused on hopping from position to position, right? Every time he is somewhere and then he leaves in the time span of 2 to 5 years. And especially with like an entity like the Digital Pound Foundation, directors can change. Someone else might be brought in from a different partner of the Digital Pound Foundation. Why does someone in one of those companies needs to lead the organization? It's very well mean that someone else starts doing the work.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Does it change Quant's relationship to the Digital Pound Foundation? We don't know.
Yeah.
Probably it doesn't. So like, it's interesting, and I think it's something we should mention, but as long as we don't really know how to place it, will not really have that much of an impact.
Yeah, but it's the Quamfy Show without speculation. So Shield also added a wee bit at the bottom. Shield's part of our think tank. Thank you for your contributions, dude. It's very valuable. And he stated, like, you can only allocate and spend your time once. In the case of Gilbert, so that could be a reason, right? If he needs to focus on other things. Martin is still at the Digital Pound Foundation. There were other positions where Gilbert also stepped back and made room for other people. And let me say this. We all know good old Gilbert by now, right? We know Gilbert had a plan 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and he has been executing this like a master chess player. And everything he did arguably came out bigger and better than he even anticipated himself. So, looking at that, would a man like this, that has created what he has created, that has achieved what he has achieved, would he leave this position because he resigned? Would he leave this position if that would endanger his dreams? Or would he leave this position because it would improve the chances of his dreams coming true? And as far as I know, Gilbert, from what we've seen, right, from his work and his resume, he is not a man that compromises. I mean, he obviously compromises, because without compromise, you get nowhere. But you compromise on the details and not on the course of your company, for instance. And I think he's shown that. I personally feel it. That's why I'm still invested. So looking at this, right? Digital Pound Foundation, what do? They advocate the digital pound. They advise, they are at the bleeding edge of the innovation, and they know what is going on, and arguably they have the ear of the government. Let's say that Gilbert has like a company, And that company provides the universal interoperability solution that could make the digital pound work. How would that look on paper if the director of a foundation is a not-for-profit, by definition, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
How would it look if the director and the founder of the Digital Pound Foundation is also the provider of the interoperability solution for the UK government's digital pound? I don't know. I think that'd be bad. Okay, and the same goes for a lot of other things. I mean, Gilbert's also part of the IETF, INETBA, whatever he's involved with. I would personally not be surprised if we see Gilbert also stepping back from higher ranking positions in those, how do you say, entities as well. Think of EPSI, think of the EU, Lecture, all those big consortia, all those big initiatives. Let's say they are going to use the quant technology. Wouldn't it be odd that Gilbert would be the leader of all the organs themselves? I mean, it is politics 101 in a way, right? I mean, Gilbert has been whispering to everybody in the past, and everybody knows this. And arguably, that's my opinion, now is probably the time, as also, what's the guy? I forgot the name.
Right.
Our marketing CMO, Andrew Carrier.
Andrew, yeah.
He said this year is the year we're going to cash in a way, right? There was that quote from him. So this could very well be the year that they're saying, okay, we have laid the foundation, everybody knows. Mm-hmm. We have set all the courses, we created the technical committees, we created the foundations and all the other...
the framework for everything.
Yes, and now it is time to move back, and then they can just sign and accept and gladly take on the quant solution. And Gilbert's not on the board anymore. It sounds like politics to me, and it probably is politics. But yeah, that's how things are played, right?